Tracking down former members of the National Guard has been a task. The internet's a wonderful thing. There are lots of people search tools out there, and with their full names provided in government reports, sometimes news articles, but mostly government reports. If you give us that middle initial, people are a lot easier to find. And so my students sent out several batches of letters inviting these former guardsmen to interview with the class. Most of the members of the Ohio Army National Guard in 1970, they still live in Ohio. Yeah, this makes sense. I mean, they did this one weekend a month, and for a couple of weeks in the summer, they had full-time jobs. They had families. The two National Guard companies that we have interviewed most are out of Worcester and Ravenna, Ohio, and many of the guardsmen, many of the members of those two companies still live in that general area. It's worth talking about the numbers with respect to the guardsmen that were in Kent, Ohio in May 1970. More than 1,000 members of the Ohio Army National Guard were in Kent at the time of the shooting. Not all of them were on campus, but there were over 1,000 in the city of Kent. Now, of that 1,000 plus, it's about 28 guardsmen that actually discharged their weapons. There were 8 guardsmen that were indicted and went on trial and were acquitted. And as far as this project goes, how did we juggle those numbers? Tracking down 1,000 plus former members of the Guard would be one heck of a task. And so we started small. We tried to find those guardsmen that had been on Blanket Hill, and that is, we found those in government reports. And then we also reached out to members that had been interviewed by the contemporary news media. So we found their name in news stories, magazine articles, and the like. Well, after we conducted the first interview, the two students that conducted that interview both had thoughtful comments. The first said that this was a great experience. I mean, how many college students get to interview a guardsman that went on trial for his role in the Kent State shootings? The other student, she admitted that she wasn't quite okay with what we were doing because that one of those students that was shot, that could have been her. That could have been her. And we were very careful not to treat these men as celebrities. They're not. They're eyewitnesses to an historic event, and that is that's the line that we've taken in the course of this project. The COVID-19 pandemic has affected this project. Yes, there are 8 interviews that are done. There are 5 more former guardsmen that want to interview, but they want to interview in person, and that can't happen until the social distancing measures have been pulled back a bit. Originally, I had hoped to wrap up this project by May 4th, 2020, which would be the 50th anniversary of the episode at Kent State. And I think there is enough in this project to actually continue this forward. There are just too many former Guard members out there that have stories to tell, and we want to record them and document them for posterity.